The icy winds cut through the wilderness like shards of broken glass. The forest, blanketed in a perpetual white shroud, echoes with an eerie stillness. Then, a faint rustle disturbs the silence as shadow moves swiftly between the frost-laden trees. Suddenly, piercing eyes, yellow, glowing, and unblinking, emerge from the darkness. These are no ordinary wolves. In Yakutia, Siberia, the frozen heart of the world, these predators have grown larger, smarter, and more dangerous. They are the ultimate survivors, but their survival now threatens the fragile balance of life in this inhospitable land. Yakutia's indigenous people, the Evenki and Saka, have coexisted with this brutal wilderness for centuries. But now, as they peer into the blackness of the forest, at night, they are met with something far more terrifying than the cold, a haunting reminder that in this frozen battleground, humans are no longer at the top of the food chain. In the remote wilderness of Yakutia, Siberia, survival is a daily battle against nature's most brutal forces. This vast, unforgiving land, larger than India, is a frozen realm where temperatures plummet to minus 50 degrees Celsius, turning the soil into impenetrable permafrost. Here, the tundra stretches endlessly, broken only by patches of dense forest and frozen swamps. The land itself is an unyielding adversary, yet life finds a way to endure. For centuries, the indigenous people of Yakutia, the Evenki and Saka tribes have learned to thrive in this harsh environment. They live in scattered, isolated villages, relying on reindeer for food, transportation, and warmth. Their connection to the land is intimate, forged through generations of knowledge passed down, like precious heirlooms. But even their deep understanding of the wilderness cannot shield them from what lurks beyond the tree line. In recent years, a growing terror has emerged from the shadows. Wolves larger and more ferocious than any others in the world have begun to challenge the balance of life. These aren't ordinary predators, they are apex hunters sculpted by millennia of evolution to dominate this icy domain. Their thick fur shields them from the deadly cold, their powerful limbs cut through the deep snow, and their cunning intelligence allows them to hunt as an unstoppable pack. The villagers, bound to their reindeer herds for survival, now find themselves in a perilous struggle against these relentless predators. A single attack can decimate their livelihoods, leaving them with nothing but fear and hunger in the wake of the wolves' deadly precision. And as the wolves grow bolder, the villagers' long nights grow colder, not just from the freezing temperatures, but from the weight of impending danger. In Yakutia's vast wilderness, predators have evolved to be as relentless as the frozen landscape itself. But among them, one species has emerged as nature's apex creation, the Super Wolves of Siberia. These wolves are no ordinary predators. They are larger, smarter, and more ruthless than their counterparts in any other part of the world. Measuring up to 2 meters from nose to tail, and standing nearly a meter tall at the shoulder, they tower over even the largest of grey wolves found elsewhere. Their strength is matched only by their cunning, making them a force that no prey or predator can easily escape. The wolves' immense size isn't the only thing that makes them formidable. Their sharp senses, honed by centuries of surviving the most extreme conditions, give them an almost supernatural ability to locate prey. Their powerful limbs allow them to cover great distances, slicing through deep snow as though it were air. But what makes them truly terrifying is their intelligence. They hunt with precision, coordinating their attacks like a well-trained military unit. No sound, no shadow, no movement escapes their notice. Their evolution has been sculpted not just by time, but by survival in a land that demands the extraordinary. In Yakutia's freezing nights, food is scarce, and every kill is a battle for life. These wolves have learned to adapt, becoming more aggressive and strategic in their hunts. Reindeer, moose, and other large prey are often no match for the wolves' strength and numbers. The indigenous people whisper of wolves that seem to anticipate their every move, watching from the shadows with an unnerving patience. What's more, the wolves have begun to encroach on human territory, their predatory instincts unbound by fear. Entire herds of reindeer have been wiped out in a single season, leaving villages teetering on the brink of disaster. And as their numbers grow, so too does their boldness. The once unthinkable possibility looms large when the wolves exhaust their prey. Will they turn their sights on the humans themselves? At first, the wolves' presence was subtle, a missing reindeer hair, a faint howl in the distance. The villagers, accustomed to nature's challenges, thought little of it. But soon, the situation spiraled out of control. Entire herds of reindeer began vanishing. Overnight, their remains scattered across the snow as brutal reminders of the predators lurking in the darkness. In a single winter season, more than 12,000 reindeer were lost, plunging the indigenous communities into despair. The wolves were no longer mere shadows in the forest. They became a looming terror. Packs of these super predators started venturing closer to the villages, their glowing eyes visible at the edge of the tree line. Families huddled in their homes, too afraid to venture outside after dark. Even the bravest hunters began to hesitate, knowing that they were no match for the wolves' size, strength, and cunning. The government stepped in, proposing an unprecedented solution, a large-scale wolf hunt. Rewards were offered for every wolf killed, and experienced hunters from all over Siberia were mobilized to combat the growing threat. But despite the efforts, the wolves adapted. They became more elusive, avoiding traps and outsmarting hunters at every turn. Then came the breaking point. In one fateful incident, a seasoned hunter named Popov ventured into the wilderness to track a notorious pack that had decimated a nearby village's reindeer. Armed with his rifle and accompanied by his loyal sled dogs, Drill was confident in his skills. But 2 days later, search parties found only a grisly scene. His remains were scattered, a chilling testament to the wolves' ferocity. For the villagers, this was a turning point. The wolves were no longer just predators. They were seen as an unstoppable force of nature. Rumors spread that the wolves were evolving, learning to attack with greater precision and intelligence. Hunters began abandoning their posts, realizing that facing these super wolves was tantamount to suicide. The wolves, it seemed, were not just surviving, they were thriving, and humanity was powerless to stop them. In the face of escalating danger, the villagers turned to a man whose name had become synonymous with hope and resilience, Idot Maximovic, Yakutia most renowned wolf hunter. Idot was no ordinary man. Years in the wilderness had shaped him into a figure of almost mythical proportions. Known for his uncanny ability to track wolves and his unyielding determination, Idot carried not just his rifle but the weight of an entire community's survival. For Iron, hunting these super wolves wasn't merely about protecting reindeer, it was our mission to preserve a way of life that had existed for centuries. Each hunt was a test of skill, patience, and nerve. The wolves, with their sharp senses and unparalleled intelligence, were not easy prey. Idot knew that every step in the snow, every breath in the freezing air could betray his presence to the pack. One fateful hunt would cement his legend. A nearby village reported the loss of nearly all its reindeer, leaving families with no means to survive the harsh winter. Iron, armed with his trusted rifle and accompanied by a small team of sled dogs, set out across the icy tundra. For days, he tracked the wolves, following faint paw prints and blood trails through the deep snow. The journey tested every ounce of his endurance. The freezing wind bit at his face, and the silence of the wilderness weighed heavy on his mind. Finally, he found them, a pack of over a dozen wolves resting near a frozen river. Iron's heart raced. The odds were against him, but he had no choice. As he steadied his aim, the wolves began to move, their golden eyes locking onto him. What happened next remains a tale passed down in hushed tones among the villagers. Idon returned with the pelts of 5 wolves, a remarkable feat that earned him both the gratitude and reverence of the community. But even Idon admitted that the wolves were changing, becoming more coordinated and aggressive with each passing year. Despite his success, Idon was painfully aware of the growing challenge. For every wolf he hunted, dozens more seemed to take their place. The villagers, though grateful, knew that Iron's efforts were only a temporary reprieve. The balance of power was shifting irreversibly in the wolves' favor. Despite Idon Maximovic's extraordinary efforts, the battle against Yakushie's super wolves was far from over. The wolves continued to adapt, their intelligence and cunning becoming increasingly apparent. Where once they avoided human settlements, now they seemed to test their boundaries, venturing closer and closer to villages. The villagers lived in a state of constant vigilance, their nights haunted by distant howls and the ever-present fear of glowing eyes watching from the tree line. The situation reached a critical point during a particularly brutal winter, with prey becoming scarce. The wolves' aggression escalated. Reports of attacks became more frequent, not just on reindeer but on humans. One chilling incident sent shockwaves through the region. The sled dogs fought valiantly, but it was Iron who found them, arriving too late to save the family. It was becoming clear to everyone, even Iron, that this was no longer a battle of man versus predator, it was a battle for survival. The wolves had begun to learn from their encounters with humans, becoming more strategic. In their attacks, they worked as a coordinated unit, outmaneuvering hunters and avoiding traps with an eerie precision. Even seasoned trackers reported feeling as though they were being watched and at times even hunted themselves. The turning point wasn't just the wolves' increasing aggression, but the realization that the villagers' traditional methods of defense were failing. The government's large-scale hunting campaign, which had initially shown promise, began to falter. Hunters refused to continue, their fear outweighing the potential rewards. The wolves, undeterred, grew bolder, leaving behind a trail of destruction and fear. For the villagers, the wolves had transformed from a natural threat to a symbol of an uncontrollable force. They weren't just predators anymore, they were a reflection of a world where humanity's dominance was no longer guaranteed. The balance of power had shifted, and for the first time in centuries, the people of Yakutia were no longer the rulers of their frozen domain. To understand the unparalleled ferocity and size of the wolves in Yakutia, scientists turned to the past. In 2021, a remarkable discovery shed light on their origins: the frozen carcass of a prehistoric wolf, preserved in the permafrost for over 44,000 years. This ancient predator, with its massive jaw and powerful build, provided crucial clues about the evolution of today's super wolves. Even after millennia of freezing temperatures, its teeth and skeletal structure revealed a creature perfectly designed to dominate its environment. Scientists hypothesized that the wolves of Yakutia inherited traits from this ancient lineage, adapting over time to the region's harsh conditions. Unlike their smaller, more timid relatives in temperate climates, these wolves developed stronger limbs, thicker fur, and a more robust physique. Their larger size allowed them to traverse deep snow with ease and take down massive prey such as elk or moose, ensuring survival in a land where food is scarce. But their physical traits were only part of the story. The wolves' intelligence also evolved in response to the extreme challenges of their environment. As prey dwindled and conditions worsened, only the most cunning and resourceful wolves survived to pass on their genes. Over generations, this selective pressure gave rise to predators capable of complex hunting, strategies, and teamwork. The frozen carcass also revealed fascinating insights into the wolf's diet. Analysis of its stomach contents showed a preference for large herbivores, echoing the hunting patterns of Yakutia modern wolves. This dietary preference likely contributed to their massive size. as consuming larger prey provided the nutrients needed for growth and survival. Yet, the discovery raised more questions than it answered. How much of these ancient wolves' DNA remains in Yakutia current population, and how much of their behavior is driven by genetics versus environmental necessity? What is certain, however, is that the wolves of Yakutia are not anomalies, they are the apex predators of an evolutionary process spanning tens of thousands of years. While this knowledge helps us understand the wolves' origins, it does little to comfort the people of Yakutia who face the daily reality of living alongside these formidable creatures. For the villagers, the wolves are less a subject of scientific curiosity and more a force of nature that threatens their very existence. As the wolves of Yakutia grow stronger and more cunning, the region's struggle against these apex predators becomes a battle for survival that may not have a definitive end. While hunters like Maximovic continue to fight valiantly, it is clear that their efforts alone cannot hold back the tide. The wolves are not just animals, they are a living embodiment of nature's relentless will to adapt and survive, even at the expense of human dominance. For the villagers, life remains a precarious balance. Each day brings new challenges, protecting their reindeer, safeguarding their families, and maintaining a fragile coexistence with an enemy they cannot defeat. The government's hunting campaigns, though well-intentioned, are a temporary solution to a permanent problem. With each passing winter, the wolves evolve, becoming an even greater threat. The future of this conflict raises difficult questions. Can humans and wolves find a way to coexist, or is one destined to outlast the other? If reindeer populations are wiped out, what will the wolves turn to for survival? And most haunting of all, when resources run dry, will humans become the next prey? The story of Yakutia's super wolves is not just a tale of survival in the wilderness, it is a reflection of humanity's fragile place in the natural world. As we continue to expand into nature's domain, are we prepared for what happens when the wild fights back? What do you think? Can humans find a way to coexist with these incredible predators, or will the wolves take over Yakutia entirely? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this story gave you chills, hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more gripping wildlife stories from the world's most extreme environments.